we're talking about the question of how do you teach discernment to your kids who are swimming in a sea of media. What do you teach them to do? How to understand the things that are coming at them, and really look at the world through biblical lenses, even if it's just the world on their screen, even if it's just entertainment. Because you know what, Proverbs do say that sin is like sports to a fool. I mean, just the games we play are important too. So let's talk about entertainment. Let's talk about, what did you see recently? You also
we saw it pre-release.
You saw a pre-release.
We saw How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Okay.
The Hidden World in pre-release.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go see it. I was not impressed with number 2.
Number 2 was not that great.
I was super frustrated with number 2 because I felt like it excused the mother abandoning her family, and that really upset me as a mom.
Right.
But, when I was pleasantly surprised with Train Your Dragon 3, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. The idea is the dragons and the people of Berk are all living together now, and it looks like a utopia, but there are problems.
What? Okay.
The dragons are big, and it's kind of a mess, and they're overcrowded, and there are dragon raiders and pirates that are coming and stealing dragons and capturing them.
Yeah. Now, if you're not familiar with this whole franchise, just real quick, the story starts on this little. It's almost like Iceland. Is kind of the way it feels. It's like a little Viking community, and they are plagued with dragons. But then this young Viking learns how to tame them.
Yes.
He learns how to control them, and they all realize, oh, wait a minute. We don't have to be afraid of dragons. We just have to understand them. And they learn and they tame them, and they're like flying horses now in the second movie. And so now they have these dragons that are they're sort of like in partnership with dragons. And that's part of their community as this Viking outpost. But as you say, there are people who want to steal the dragons.
And they're getting stronger and stronger.
Okay.
And the people of Berk realize something's got to change.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the dragon raiders are trying to lure away Toothless because he is the last of the Night Furies.
The Toothless is the first dragon that was trained.
Right.
Okay.
And although content-wise, I thought it had few problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's set in pagan Viking days, and so you do hear some by Thor or things like that.
Yeah.
But some of the things that I was concerned about in the second movie and in the Netflix series that problematic content.
There's problematic content as that series develops.
It was absent in this sequel. Really? And in fact, marriage was held up as something honorable and a goal and something everyone should aspire to.
Okay.
So I was being impressed.
Okay, well that's good. So what would you? Now we've been talking plot. We've been talking story here.
Yes.
What would you say is a theme? And one of the things we do notice is oftentimes movies have several themes. Sometimes it's very clearly stated. Sometimes it's just displayed. What themes did you see in How to Train Your Dragon?
There were 2 major things.
Mm-hmm.
At first glance, it would be tempting to say one of the things was if you love something, let it go. But it was really deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
I think a better and more biblical way to put it is love is putting someone else's needs ahead of your own.
Okay.
And we see this illustrated super clearly when Hiccup says, all I could think about was creating the world I wanted. I never thought about what you needed.
This is the young dragon tamer from the first movie. Now he is the young chief of this tribe. This clan. Yeah.
And the second thing, which is related, is that love is worth the sacrifice.
Interesting.
And we see 2 times that this theme is very clearly stated. And sometimes, like the first one, sometimes they just will out and out tell you the theme if you watch for it. Yeah. Stoic, who is Hiccup's father, at one point says, "Love means loss, but it's worth it."
Uh-huh.
And then and I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Right.
But in this huge crisis, Hiccup shouts, "Save him!"
Uh-huh.
And you see this theme come into play there, and what happens after that.
Interesting. Okay.
And so that's 2 things that you want to look for in How to Train Your Dragon and draw to your kids' attention.
Okay.
Because once they start identifying themes, it's really exciting to see them. We've seen this in our kids that then they start noticing themes on their own out in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a theme in a song, in a book, in a movie. And when they start doing that, then they begin to be intelligent consumers of media.
And when you recognize the theme, then you're not as likely to be led astray by it.
Right.
And sometimes when you recognize the theme, it's kind of like recognizing, all right, there's a rough spot on the road here. That doesn't mean you can't drive down that road, but you just have to be careful at certain points.
Right, exactly. And also that means that when you watch something with your kids that has a negative theme, like the theme in the second Train Your Dragon, that it's important to fulfill your dreams, even if it costs you your family. That's a horrible theme.
Yes.
That you can take some of the teeth out of it by explaining it to your kids and saying, did you notice this?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice how this played out?
Right.
And I really felt like some of that was better explained in this film, and it was clear that that was not a good thing that she went away in this film. Let's talk about characterization in How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
It's interesting to me, and this is very common in kids' films, that bad guys are easy to identify because they look evil.
Right. Right. So they're going to look scary. They're going to dress rougher. They'll have tattoos or weird jewelry or something on, and so they're bad.
And also it portrays big, muscly people as kind of dumb. And this is a problem with the characterization and something that you need to bring up to your kids, because really the Bible tells us that bad things can be beautiful.
In fact, we are worried about that specifically.
Yeah. 2 Corinthians 11 says that false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. And no wonder.
Because Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light.
Yeah.
It doesn't make him an angel of light. He just looks like one.
It's really important, especially in a world where there's people trying to take advantage of children, to explain to our kids that bad guys don't necessarily and often don't look bad or evil.
Right.
Instead, they could look great. And they look
very plausible. They want you to like them and trust them. That's how they get their hooks into you.
And so we need to encourage our kids to judge people by what they do,
right,
and not what they look like.
Yes.
And that's a good segue too, that you can talk to your kids about race there too. I think about when the prophet Samuel was God had sent him out to find the next king of Israel, and he's like, ooh, that looks like a king over there.
He goes to the house of Jesse, and they call his sons in, and he's looking at him and saying, oh, he's tall and he's good looking. And the Lord says, man judges by what he sees, but the Lord looks on the heart.
Yeah.
And I have not chosen this one.
He says, I've refused him.
I've refused this one. And it's, it was the one that was hiding, the one that was out, the lesser son, the younger son, the one who, like, oh, he's not important. He's just the shepherd. I mean, just don't pay attention to him. But rather, that's the one that the Lord had chosen. So, yeah, we need to learn to look. And, we saw a movie recently, which I'm not sure if we want to get into right now, except.
Well, before we leave this point, I want to say something in here.
Yes.
The Lord has said he has made of one blood every nation of men to dwell on the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to drive home to our kids that we can't judge people by their outward appearance at all.
Right.
That we judge them by what they do.
Neither to approve nor to disapprove.
Yeah. Now, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say we saw a movie recently which kind of needs longer discussion, but the thing that I thought was impressive about it was the lead actress in this romantic movie was not, shall we say, your classical actress for a romantic lead.
Yeah.
She was not. She was definitely not. I mean, it was like emphatically that was part of her story, was that she is not the kind of person you picture when you think of the romantic lead. And yet, you find as you go through the movie that she does have deep feelings, and she's capable of deep feelings, and she's actually, there's a lot going for her. But if you just, picked them out of a lineup, you might make a snap judgment and say, oh, she's going to be comedy. She's going to be a joke. She's the clown in the story, right? No, actually, she's the lead. And so that was one that we saw. But at any rate, We do this with all of the movies with our kids, and you don't have to do it every single time, but do it enough that it becomes a habit to say, when they go to the movies by themselves, when they come back, say, what did you think of the movie? What themes did you see there?
And what's really cool about it is they get to enjoy it. Our kids kind of see it as a code that they get to break, and they are. I want to tell what it was.
Mm-hmm.
They love discussing movies, and in fact, they look forward to it. When we watch something together.
One of the fun things about that is that that's really a literary skill.
It really is, and it will teach them to analyze literature.
Mm-hmm.
Because those the very same things we're talking about to teach your kids discernment is the way that they'll analyze literature, to look and say, what is the theme? What is the characterization? What's the setting?
Mm-hmm.
What genre is it? How does all of this impact the theme? Mm-hmm. That's how you analyze literature, and you can teach it to little kids even. And what's great about it is that way they can see everything through a biblical lens. They can begin to say, is this a righteous theme or an unrighteous theme?
And
or is this mixed?
And it's worth pointing out that every good movie doesn't mention God by name.
No.
Every good movie, we're saying, is it communicating things which are true? Is it realistic to life? Does it show the goodness of God and the order in creation and the sense that there is control in the universe around? That those are true in biblical themes, even if they don't mention the Bible, even if they don't mention God. Yet God has an orderly creation, and there is right, and there is wrong, and there is justice in the world.
Well, I think it was Tolkien that said every great story has elements of the greatest story.
Yeah.
That the greatest story that we have rebelled against God, and yet He has provided redemption for us through the sacrifice of His Son.
Yes.
That all we need is to trust Him.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the greatest story, the fight between good and evil, and the very best story to tell some elements of the greatest story of all.
Well said.
So,
well, look, I think that's a good point to knock off. We've been talking about teaching your kids discernment, particularly when they're looking at media, because they're going to be surrounded by it. Let's help them to navigate those waters with some wisdom and some good judgment. And go back and listen to the other section if you didn't quite catch the questions that we're trying to ask and answer. Look, we want to thank our sponsor this week, the Evangelical Christian Credit Union. We're going to be sending out some information about them to our email list. So we just want to say go eccu.com if you are interested in a Christ-honoring banking alternative. Let's see, anything else you want to throw in here? Right now?
Check out craftsmancrate.com and our blog and stores at raisingrealmen.com. Subscribe and follow us.
Yes, and if you are in the Midwest this month, we are going to be in Rogers, Arkansas for Teach Them Diligently.
And then Nashville, Tennessee.
And then in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you come to one of those events, we would love to talk to you. Please stop by. Let us know that you're a podcast listener or that you watch us on YouTube or whatever. We'd love to meet you. Look, we appreciate your time. We hope this has been a benefit to you. We're glad that you joined us and hope that you will join us again as we try to take biblical principles into the 21st century family. Until next time, I'm Hal.
And I'm Melanie.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, y'all.